Chapter 4903. Professor Lu's arrival brought a happy ending to this big family. Lu Yin and Huamin couldn't get in touch with the professor and thought their dad wasn't coming. After all, his identity and whereabouts were a lot of secrets that couldn't be revealed. After the nightmare, no one mentioned the thing in the professor's hand. At that time, before he lost his memory, Grandpa Su had taken action to eliminate the mastermind. He was Zheng Rou's mysterious boss. Later, Suyu disappeared from people's memories, so they didn't remember this part. The two daughters didn't know what the thing in the professor's hand was or where it was. After taking photos, the twins continued to put on makeup. Huamin and Lu Yin took the professor to the guest room on the top floor to rest. "Dad, how long can you stay this time?" "I'll leave tonight." "So soon?" Huamin was reluctant to leave. Lu Yin suddenly thought of something and asked, "Dad, there will be a big ceremony at noon today, and there will be a lot of people watching. Although my men will be there, I can't guarantee that there won't be any mistakes. I'm afraid that someone will target you. Do you want to leave?" "No need to leave. I'll disguise myself," the professor said. "Oh, how could I forget about that?" "Ha, right, disguise yourself. But Dad, do you want to disguise yourself as Tom Cruise?" "We'll all be happy," Lu Yin teased. "I'll disguise myself as Van Diesel." Professor Lu gave Lu Yin a dirty look. "No, Uncle Fan doesn't have hair. You have hair." Huamin was amused by the conversation between Lu Yin and her dad. "Dad, did you bring all the disguises?" Huamin was worried. "I brought them. Don't worry about Dad." "Sis, Dad might have a bomb in his suitcase." Lu Yin chuckled. "You two go out. I'm going to sleep. I didn't sleep last night because of the flight." Huamin looked at his father tenderly. "Okay, Dad. When you're done sleeping, you can go out for a walk. The kids miss you." After walking out of the door, Huamin remembered that he still had something to ask his father, so he turned around to go back. "Hey, what are you doing?" "Sis, I have a difficult medical question to ask Dad." "Why are you troubling Dad about this?" "You can ask my Yuan Yuan." "Your Yuan Yuan? Can it work?" Huamin was skeptical. "Why don't you ask?" Lu Yin smiled mysteriously. Xiao Yuan Yuan's medical skills were the best in her generation. When she was 12 years old, she was already comparable to Huamin. It seemed that his genes were really powerful. Therefore, when Huamin asked Xiao Yuan Yuan to solve the problem, he actually got the solution. Xiao Yuan Yuan was too young and couldn't be away from Lu Yin for too long. Huamin really wanted to keep this child here. She would definitely be a miracle doctor at Southside in the future. However, the fate of the Qiao family's children seemed to be predestined. They were destined to be different from Pudding and Little Bean. Lu Yin knew this, and Huamin knew it even more. After taking the photos, Jiang Xiaowei used her free time to look at the photos on her phone. When she took the photos, she took a few close-up shots of Pudding. She had to admit that the 18-year-old girl's skin was really good. It was full of collagen. Even if she didn't use any concealer, her skin was still as white as crystal. Jiang Xiaowei picked a photo of Pudding wearing a traditional Chinese costume and a phoenix coronet, smiling slightly, and sent it to her son, Wei Yinshu, on WeChat. She didn't know if it was encouragement or to satisfy her son's longing. Chapter 4904. Wei Yinshu also looked at the photo for a long time. This was probably the clearest photo he had ever seen, because Jiang Xiaowei had selfishly zoomed in. Therefore, Pudding's face and facial features were very clear. With ancient makeup, she had the grace of a classical beauty. After waiting for about 10 minutes, Jiang Xiaowei was so anxious that she was about to make a call. Wei Yinshu slowly replied, "She's very beautiful." Of course, Pudding has been beautiful since she was a child. That's Qin Chu's excellent genes. "Son, what time are you coming? What time does the grand ceremony start?" Wei Yinshu asked. "I heard from Mian that it's 11:18. "Okay, I got it." As expected, he was a man of few words, as if saying one more word was a sin. Even with his own mother, Wei Yinshu was still a man of few words. More and more guests arrived at South Hill Manor at 8 p.m. Although they didn't invite too many outsiders, some business partners, relatives, and friends were still invited. Some well-known media outlets that had a good relationship with GK were also invited to watch the ceremony. As public figures, Many leaders of the municipal government came. Gao Ran was now a senior official, so naturally, he had to sit with his colleagues. His every word and action attracted attention. Liao Mukin and Han Yueyao were the only artists invited. They walked in hand as if they were walking down the red carpet. Liao Mukin was wearing a suit and looked very rich. Han Yueyao was wearing a sky blue evening gown and looked very beautiful. As soon as they walked in, they were surrounded by the media. Liao Mukin, tell us how you feel today. I'm really happy for my boss. She's finally an adult. I finally don't have to listen to a minor anymore. One word, great. Liao Mukin had always been a humorous person, so his answer immediately made many people laugh. Miss Han, we're your agent and assistant today. Rumor has it that you're planning to buy a house and live together, right? Today is President Qin's big day. Please don't pay too much attention to my personal matters. Thank you. It was obvious that Han Yueyao didn't want to talk about her private life and didn't want to steal the limelight from the host, so she only said a few words. After Liao Mukin came in, he couldn't sit still and wandered around. In fact, he wanted to see Pudding's appearance after her makeup was done. He was really looking forward to it when he heard that she would be wearing a traditional Chinese costume today. In the past few years, Pudding had attended almost all of the company's events, but she didn't put on too much makeup. Even if she didn't wear any makeup, she was still able to outshine many female stars. So Liao Mukin was curious. What would Pudding look like with heavy makeup? Would she tease him to the point that his little heart would pound nonstop? Unexpectedly, as he walked, he bumped into Huamin. Huamin forgot to put on the jade pendants for Pudding and Little Bean's dresses. So, she went to the safe and took out the expensive gift Lu Yin had given her for her birthday. She wanted to rush to the dressing room, but she didn't expect to bump into someone on the way. Liao Mukin quickly reached out and helped Huamin up from the grass. I'm sorry. He apologized immediately. It's okay. Huamin wasn't a delicate person, so he stood up immediately. When he looked up, Liao Mukin was shocked. Mrs. President, I'm sorry. I really didn't mean it. Seeing that it was the president's wife, Liao Mukin was scared half to death. He was still fantasizing that if he could win Pudding's heart, she would be his future mother-in-law. She was someone he couldn't offend no matter what. Seeing this familiar face again, Huamin was in a daze again. He felt that he was an old friend of his, but who was he? Why couldn't he remember? Chapter 4905. Hello, Mrs. President. I'm Liao Mukin. The boy's self-introduction brought Huamian back to reality and reminded her of something. You're the artist from the company, right? Yes, Mrs. President. Okay, you can walk around. I'll go deliver something to Pudding. Okay, take care. Liao Mukin nodded respectfully and sent Huamin away. After all, it was just a small brush with his shoulder. However, Huamin's mind was in a mess. She felt that the kid was someone she knew very well. However, he was only in his 20s. He didn't look like a friend of hers. But what did she forget? Huamian's mind wandered as the intense feeling washed over her. In the dressing room, only Pudding and Little Bean were left. Sis, is something on your mind? Little Bean asked when she saw that Pudding was distracted. Pudding bit her lip and didn't answer. Are you thinking about Wei Yinshu? Don't try to figure out what's on my mind, okay? Pudding was a little annoyed that her thoughts were seen through. Sis, don't pretend. Don't forget that we're twins and have telepathy. When you're worried, I'm worried too. It's almost 11 p.m. If there's no news from Wei Yinshu at this time, he probably won't come back. I've asked Buyin and Annie Xiaowei, but they haven't heard anything. I don't want him to come back. You're thinking too much. As they spoke, Huamin pushed the door open and walked in. Here, put on the jade pendants. Huamin took out 2 jade pendants and handed them to the sisters. Pudding, I just saw someone, Huamin said. Pudding looked up and glanced at her mother, knowing that she had something else to say. He said he's an artist under your company. His name is something like Chen Liao Mukin. Pudding was surprised. Little Bean's expression was even more terrible. Yes, I keep feeling that he looks very familiar, like someone I know, but I just can't remember who he is. Do you two have any impression of him? Huamin tilted his head as he thought hard. Can you help me think? Do I have any friends who look similar to that kid? Pudding and Little Bean looked at each other. and their expressions became complicated. Little Bean hurriedly hung up the jade pendant, got up, and held Huamin's arm. "Mom, you're thinking too much. Other than being a little handsome, there's nothing special about that kid. But his personality is too exaggerated. You better not get too close to him. He's a very polite kid." Huamin stood up for him when Little Bean belittled the kid. "Mom, he just has a celebrity face. You might have seen him on TV before, so you have some impression of him." "No, I have a feeling that things aren't that simple." Huamin denied immediately. He felt that both Pudding and Little Bean were wrong. Things weren't that simple. Over the years, her sixth sense had always been very strong. Just like last time when she saw that kid, her sixth sense began to vibrate intensely. It definitely wasn't as simple as seeing a familiar face on TV. Huamin suddenly had a scary thought. Could it be that everyone was hiding something from her? Or did Pudding, Little Bean, and her husband know? Was she the only one who didn't know? The moment this thought popped up, it was really scary. Huamin felt that the people she loved most wouldn't lie to her, especially Qin Chu. "Mom, have you not been resting well recently? Organizing our coming-of-age ceremony is too stressful. After it's over, you can ask Annie Xiaowei to prescribe some medicine for you to recuperate." Little Bean deliberately changed the topic. Chapter 4906. Huamin nodded. "That might be the case. Go back to touching up your makeup. When it's time, you'll go on stage. Do your best." Huamin patted her daughter's shoulders and left the dressing room. Little Bean's words reminded her of something. She really should ask Jiang Xiaowei to take a look. However, it wasn't medicine. Jiang Xiaowei was a famous psychiatrist in China. Other than helping people with their mental illnesses, she also had another skill, which was hypnosis. It was said that hypnosis could awaken something deep in a person's heart, including things that they had forgotten for a long time. Therefore, Huamin thought that after the coming-of-age ceremony, she should ask Jiang Xiaowei for a private hypnosis session. She wanted to see if she could find any clues. She wanted to see what was going on with that boy's familiar face. 11:15 p.m., the MC came on stage to liven up the atmosphere. At this time, the lawn in front of South Hill Manor was filled with 700-800 people. This MC was invited from Jing City. It was said that he was a famous MC and was a top student at Jing City University. A tall, thin, and handsome boy. His words were humorous and witty. Everyone's appetite was piqued right from the start. When the auspicious time arrived, he recited an ancient poem before Pudding and Little Bean went on stage. It was accompanied by the dance of the palace maids in ancient costumes and classical music. A beautiful voice slowly sounded. Delicate clouds playing tricks, flying stars passing hatred, the silver river crossing in secret. Golden wind and jade, due meeting, surpass countless things in the world. Tender as water, the auspicious days are like a dream, enduring the Magpie Bridge and returning home. If two people love each other for a long time, how can they be together day and night? Coincidentally, the author of this poem also had the surname Qin. Speaking of which, he might be an ancestor of the Qin family. After reciting the poem, the MC shouted in an impassioned voice, "Next, let us give our warmest applause to today's two protagonists, Qin Zhao Zhao and Miss Qin Mu Mu." Classical music started playing. Pudding and Little Bean slowly walked out from the backstage with the help of 4 maidservants dressed as maids. Then, they carefully walked up the stairs at the back of the crowd. A boy wearing a black baseball cap stood there, looking at Pudding with tender eyes. Wei Yinchu sneaked in just like that. Jiang Xiaowei helped him get the invitation. What Wei Liao didn't know was that Wei Liao was sitting in the first row with Rick, Tang Chuan, and Ai Yang. Pudding and Little Bean followed the Han Dynasty's rite of passage, one after another. He bowed deeply to his parents and elders, thanking them for their kindness in raising him. Then, the host said softly, "The rest of the time is reserved for the 2 leads. They seem to have something to say to the guests. Sis, do you want to go first?" Little Bean asked Pudding in a low voice. "You first," Pudding said calmly. Little Bean happily took the microphone and spoke from the bottom of her heart. She had written the lines in advance and had memorized them by heart. Pudding's eyes, however, seemed to be drifting When she looked down the stage just now, it was just a casual glance, but she seemed to have seen someone. Yes, that person was at the back of the crowd. He was wearing an inconspicuous black suit and a hat. However, that feeling was irreplaceable. Pudding thought that she was seeing things, so she took a few more glances. However, when she looked again, the person was gone. "Sis, it's your turn," Little Bean reminded her quietly. However, Pudding was still looking for that familiar figure. "Sis, it's your turn to speak." Little Bean stuffed the microphone into Pudding's hand and reminded her, bringing her back to reality. Chapter 49:07. Oh, okay. Pudding came back to her senses and picked up the microphone. Below the stage, Huamin, who was sitting in the first row, was a little worried. "Honey, did you notice that Pudding was distracted?" "Yeah, she rarely does that on important occasions." Chinshu also saw it. "What should we do?" Huamin clenched his fists worriedly. "I'll ask her when she finishes her speech and gets off the stage." Chinshu wrapped his big hand around his wife's to give her a sense of security. "I'm so happy that everyone can come to my and my sister's coming-of-age ceremony. Thank you for being here to witness this important moment of us becoming adults. Thank you for all the years of hard work that my parents have put into raising us. Thank you for your care and concern, my friends. I'm so happy that I can stand here and say this to everyone. Next, I have two important announcements to make." After saying this, Pudding took a deep breath. Little Bean looked at her sister in confusion. Didn't she say that there is only one announcement? Her parents were holding a make-up wedding today. Why did her sister suddenly change her words to two? Everyone seemed to be looking forward to hearing what Pudding was talking about. Pudding paused for a moment, picked up the microphone, and continued. "First, my sister, Miss Chin Moo Moo, and Gao Buyuan's engagement." After she said this, fireworks were set off on both sides of the stage. Setting off fireworks in the middle of the day was also a special sight. Little Bean was dumbfounded, but what followed was joy below the stage. People were already whistling and cheering at this moment. Gao Buyen walked onto the stage with a pair of rings in his hands. They were custom-made by Cartier, and a pair of rings cost more than 10 million yuan. The person who paid for this pair of rings was said to be Pudding herself. Gao Ran's family was rich, but after all, he was a government official. If he was so extravagant, he would definitely be investigated by the relevant departments. Therefore, Pudding paid for it herself and comforted Gao Buyen for a long time, telling him not to think too much and feel guilty. "Oh my God, what's going on? Damn it. Why didn't you tell me?" Little Bean began to cry as she spoke. She had truly experienced the feeling of crying tears of joy. Gao Buyen got down on one knee in front of so many people. "Little Bean, I'm very happy to have grown up with you. If you think I'm a good person, please give me the rest of your life. You're 18 now. I promise that when you're 24, I'll marry you. We'll spend the rest of our lives together. I don't have a lot of money, but I'm willing to give you all my love and gentleness. Oh my, look at your son. He's never been so close to us." Zhu Lingling held on to Gao Rant's arm. She was so happy that she wanted to cry, but she didn't forget to tease her son. "This kid, he's already decided on his future wife at the age of 18. He's even faster than his dad." Gao Ran exclaimed. "What do you mean by that?" "It's an arranged marriage. Mian and I agreed on it when you were still in my stomach." Zhu Lingling smiled with tears in her eyes. "Why are you crying? Answer me, or Buyen will run away." Seeing that Little Bean was about to cry, Pudding reminded her. "I'm not afraid. If he dares to run away, I'll break his legs," Little Bean said in a sobbing voice. Looking at this happy scene, many people below the stage were touched. Standing behind a small pine tree, Wei Yunchu's eyes were red. He didn't know if he was happy for Buyuan or sad for himself. Chapter 49:08. After crying, Little Bean helped Gao Buyen, who was kneeling on one knee, stand up. Someone had suggested getting engaged, but Little Bean didn't want to take care of her sister's feelings. So, she refused and thought about it later. She didn't expect them to do this behind her back. "Don't cry, or you'll turn into a panda," Pudding teased her. "Qin Zhao Zhao, how could you lie to me with them?" Little Bean was still a little excited. Below the stage, Qin Chu and Huamin, who were Little Bean's parents, sighed in their hearts. Oh my God, little Bean is getting engaged. She's already 18 years old. Does that mean we're old? Hwamin picked up a tissue and wiped his tears. Our children will grow up, and will grow old one day. Mian, are you happy? Yeah, I'm happy. Buyen is a good kid. I trust him to take care of little Bean. Gao Buyen was the child that Qin Shu and Hwamian had watched grow up. He had a good character and was very obedient to little Bean. No matter how one looked at it, they were a match made in heaven. Little Bean and Gao Buyen put on each other's engagement rings in front of the audience. Then, Gao Buyen carried little Bean off the stage to touch up her makeup. Pudding stayed on the stage. She took a deep breath and adjusted her emotions. Then, she said into the microphone, "Other than my sister's engagement, I have another announcement to make. Don't tell me you're getting engaged too." Tang Chuan shouted. Everyone was tickled by this. However, two people couldn't laugh. One was Wei Yunshu, and the other was Liao Mukin. All of them were instantly terrified. If Pudding was getting engaged, then the person she was getting engaged to was Wei Yunshu thought it was Liao Mukin, and Liao Mukin thought it was her childhood friend. Pudding's eyes dimmed. She didn't find Uncle Tang's joke funny. After a pause, she said faintly, "This is my parents' wedding ceremony." As soon as he finished speaking, everyone in the audience stood up and gave him a thunderous round of applause. Qin Shu and Hwamin looked at everyone in a daze. "Hwamin, after so many years, it's finally time for your wedding." Zhu Lingling looked at Hwamin, so touched that she wanted to cry. What's going on? Hwamin wasn't prepared for this at all. He had been busy preparing for Pudding and Little Bean's coming-of-age ceremony, so he didn't even think about it. But now that Pudding said that, she really panicked. "Dad, Mom, please go to the assistant's dressing room and change. Little Bean and I have custom-made dresses for you." Before Hwamin could say anything, the two of them were taken away by Pudding's assistant to get changed. During this time, Pudding held the microphone and said slowly, "Next, I'll play a piano piece for everyone. It's a gift for my parents after 20 years of marriage. It's also a gift for a friend of mine who's far away in the United States. I hope he is doing well." Hearing this, Wei Yunshu was stunned for a moment before incomparable joy spread through his heart. What did Pudding just say? She said it was a gift for a friend who was far away in the United States. Was she talking about him? When no one was looking, he sneaked into the crowd. In order to see Pudding clearly, he deliberately went up to her. Pudding elegantly turned around and sat on the white piano behind her. Then, she fluently played Richard Clayderman's most beautiful piece, Starry Sky. At this moment, Wei Yunshu couldn't hold back his tears any longer. Chapter 4909. Starry Sky was Pudding's favorite song. Although it wasn't difficult and the melody was simple, it was the song that moved her the most. Why was Wei Yunshu crying? It wasn't the first time he heard Pudding play the piano. The reason was that Pudding played this song on Wei Yunshu's 10th birthday. At that time, they were at the Wei family's private mansion. After all, the Wei family didn't lack anything, so they didn't know what gift to give him. At that time, Pudding was obsessed with the piano, so she sat in the Wei family's living room and played this song. At that time, the two of them were very close. When Pudding played the piano, she would look at Wei Yunshu gently and smile. Now that 8 years had passed, Wei Yunshu didn't expect to hear Pudding play Starry Sky again. Therefore, when he thought of the past, his tears couldn't stop flowing. He was also grateful that Pudding didn't forget about him. Suddenly, a large hand reached out, and there was even a tissue in it. "Wipe it. It's not appropriate for a man to cry like this." Wei Yunshu looked up abruptly and saw Qin Guogua standing beside him. "How did you know it was me?" Wei Yunshu was a bit surprised. Other than his mother, no one else seemed to know that he would be here today. "I saw the surveillance video at my house and saw you." Only then did Wei Yunshu realize. "You're wondering why I would check the video, right?" Qin Guogua's lips curled up. Wei Yunshu didn't say anything, "Because I think you can't let go of her. You can't miss such an important day." "Yes, I won't miss it." Wei Yunshu's voice was still trembling. "How is it? Are you touched? I didn't expect my sister to play Starry Sky again." Qin Guogua put his arm around Wei Yunshu's shoulder and looked at the girl on the stage who was deeply immersed in playing the meaningful song. I didn't expect it either. Wei Yunshu told the truth. So today is a good opportunity. I think you should go and see her. Qin Guo was said. Wei Yunshu didn't say anything. After played the song, Qin Shu and Huamin changed into their wedding gowns and tuxedos. The size was just right, and the style was what they liked. Why? Pudding found the staff who had prepared Qin Shu's wedding and got the design proposal. He remembered that Qin Shu had spent a long time preparing for his wedding, but it was ruined by Hua Xiqian in the end. Later on, because of Su Yu, Huamin was unwilling to hold a wedding. All these years, Qin Shu had thought that he would not be able to wait any longer. She never thought that she would have the opportunity to see Huamin in a wedding dress at her daughter's 18th birthday party 20 years after they registered their marriage. Although she was no longer young, she was still the most beautiful bride. Oh my God, I want to cry like a dog. I saw my Mian in a wedding gown again. Zhu Lingling leaned into Gao Ran's arms and covered her face as she sobbed. Jiang Xiaowei also took a tissue and kept wiping her tears. Jixin, Bella, Cici, and their other friends were also crying. Lu Yin held Xiao Fei's hand tightly. She was indescribably excited. Yin, why do I feel like you're more nervous than your sister? Xiao Fei teased her. Of course, my sister is an old bride in her 40s. How can I not be worried? What if she gets hurt? Xiao Fei smiled but didn't say anything at this moment. Master Wu walked to the center of the stage in a Chinese tunic suit. Mr. Qin Shu, do you take Ms. Huamin as your wife and stay by her side for the rest of your life, in sickness and in poverty? Chapter 49:10. I do. Qin Shu only had eyes for Huamin. This was the woman he had loved his whole life. Then, Ms. Huamin, do you agree to marry Mr. Qin Shu and stay by his side for the rest of your life, in sickness and in poverty? Huamin stared at Qin Shu, tears rolling down her cheeks like pearls from a broken necklace. Little Bean stared at her mother nervously, afraid that something would go wrong at this critical moment. 5 seconds later, Huamin calmed down. I do. As soon as she said those words, music started playing and colorful balloons rose from the ground of South Hill Manor. It formed the most beautiful scenery. Many guests took out their mobile phones to take pictures of this happy moment. After Qin Shu and Huamin exchanged rings, they hugged and kissed passionately. This wedding that was 20 years late was it was done today, and it was done perfectly, making up for the only regret of their lives. Qin Shu was very grateful to his 2 daughters. They had put in so much effort to design this segment. He didn't know before, so he was very surprised at this moment. After all the events were over, the guests began to enjoy their lunch. Qin Shu spent a lot of money for his daughters. The banquet cost more than 100,000 yuan, which was unprecedented. Everyone had an Australian lobster, top-grade sea cucumber, 4-headed abalone, and a very precious wild ginseng tonic soup. Pudding and Little Bean went backstage, removed their makeup, changed into simple red dresses, and walked out again. When they came out, Qin Yuyao put his arm around Pudding's neck. Sis, I want to talk to you. What? I have a friend who wants to meet you. Ooh, don't ask anymore. Just give me some face and go greet them, okay? Why are you so high profile now? You dare to act first and ask later. I didn't say yes, but you said yes. Pudding glared at her little brother. I know you won't reject me. Let's go. Hey, Qin Guo, why do you have to know her? Why don't you know me? We're twins. If she doesn't want to, I can make you look like the real deal. Huh? Little Bean laughed arrogantly. Forget it. You're fatter than Sis. Sis, go find your brother Buyun. Don't waste our time. Hearing his words, Little Bean was so angry that she turned around and followed Buyun to the table to eat. Pudding was taken to the back garden of the villa by Qin Yuyao. There were very few people here, and it was very quiet. Stinking brat. You're not playing tricks on me, are you? No, sis. It's really my friend who wants to see you. You just have to say hello to her, really. Qin Yao patiently explained to his sister to calm her down, afraid that she would go back on her words at the last minute. Then it's a deal. It's not that I don't want to give you face, but I still have to toast the elders in a while, so I really can only say goodbye to your friend and leave. Okay, 1 minute is enough. My friend's wish is fulfilled when she sees you. Qin Yuyao continued to persuade her. What kind of friend is she? If she's not a fan, why does she want to see me? Liao Mukin and Annie Yao Yao are both big shots. Why don't you see them? Pudding was puzzled. She worships you. Who asked you to be a super tycoon? Humph. You must be bragging to her again. The siblings chatted as they walked, and soon walked into a small garden in the back garden. A person stood there. His back looked strange yet familiar to Pudding. Sis, you say hello first. I'll come back later. Qin Guohua immediately found an excuse and slipped away. Pudding walked over and was about to speak when the person turned around. Pudding's mind went blank instantly. Chapter 49:11. Yin Shu. Pudding hadn't called him by this name for a long time. The moment she opened her mouth and heard her own voice, she couldn't help but cry. Qin Yuyao knew that Wei Yunshu was here, so how could he not let him see his sister? In Qin Yuyao's heart, he had long treated Wei Yunshu as his brother-in-law and was as close to him as Gao Buyuan. That was why he deliberately created this opportunity to meet him alone. Pudding never thought that 5 years later, when they met again, it would be under such circumstances. Wei Yunshu reached out and slowly took off his hat. His handsome face was revealed. Compared to 5 years ago, he had grown taller and more handsome. He was wearing an overseas casual brand, a dark gray jacket with a slight blue tinge, a pair of simple jeans, and white sneakers. Just like before, he was clean and silent. You're very beautiful today. I'm so glad that. I didn't miss it. Wei Yunshu's voice was intermittent. It was obvious that he was also very emotional. After he said that, Pudding cried even harder. Wei Yunshu walked over and took out a white handkerchief from his pocket. He carefully wiped her tears. Don't cry. Today is a good day. We have to be happy. Pudding couldn't help but hug Wei Yunshu's waist with both hands. Then, she leaned on his shoulder and cried even harder. There was grievance, longing, sadness, surprise. There were too many complicated emotions. Wei Yunshu's body trembled when Pudding hugged him. He didn't expect Pudding, who had always been calm, to lose her composure like this. How could they be so intimate? Then he felt joy in his heart. He reached out and wrapped his arms around Pudding, hugging her gently. It was as if he was afraid that his girl would disappear at any moment. No matter what the outcome was this time, being able to see her, talk to her, and hug her was already the best outcome. Wei Yunshu had nothing else to ask for. When Pudding played Starry Sky on stage and said that she wanted to give it to her friend in the United States, Liao Mukin became abnormally silent and depressed. During the meal, he ate a few bites and stood up. Han Yueyao was curious. Are you feeling unwell? Chun Chun? No, I'm just a little stuffy. I'm going out to get some fresh air. Liao Mukin stood up and walked to a bench in the corner. He sat down. Then, he took out a ring from the pocket of his suit. It was a ring of eternal love from Bulgari. He had bought it when he went to Europe to attend a film festival. At that time, she wanted to find a chance to confess to her boss. Even if she was rejected, she wouldn't feel sad. She had to try. But today, when he heard Pudding say that she was going to give Wei Yunshu a piano piece, he was shocked. Only then did he realize how insignificant he was in Pudding's heart. It was not enough for her to remember him. Pudding hadn't looked at him since he came today. So at that moment, all his confidence had been completely shattered. Her courage to confess to him also faded away. It was as if he had already predicted the outcome before it had even begun. At this moment, the old man in a Chinese tunic suit walked over. He was Master Wu, but Liao Mukin did not recognize him. Young man, is there something on your mind? Master Wu asked him. Master Wu wasn't a busybody, but the first time he saw this kid, he looked a lot like Su Yu. He had mixed feelings. Even though he was a Taoist priest who had abandoned the mortal world, he couldn't help but be shocked and disturbed by his face. I like someone, but I feel like she doesn't like me, Liao Mukin said dejectedly. Chapter 49:12. Since you know she doesn't like you, why are you still worried? But I still like her. I don't think I can let go. Liao Mukin teased, Pudding half-heartedly in the beginning, but later on, he really fell in love with her. Pudding was cold all year round, and when she occasionally smiled gently at him, he felt bad. It was the feeling of falling in love. That was why he fell deeper and deeper. However, when he found out that Pudding didn't like him, he still felt devastated. After all, love was mutual. Unrequited love was always painful. Master Wu smiled and patted Liao Mukin's shoulder. I used to have a friend who was like you. He fell in love with a girl in his 20s, but that girl didn't like him. What happened after that? Liao Mukin listened seriously and became curious. Later on, he couldn't get what he wanted and suffered for the rest of his life. So, I hope that you can pull back before it's too late. Don't fall too deep. Don't have too deep of an obsession. One-sided love is always too tender to bear fruit. You're so young. Why do you have to do this? In the end, that girl didn't fall in love with your friend. That's right. My friend watched the person he loved get married and have children in front of him. When the child grew up, he was still alone. How's your friend now? Is he married? Liao Mukin didn't know why, but he felt a little regretful, even though it was someone who had nothing to do with him. Master Wu paused for a moment, his gaze distant. My friend has already left this world. Liao Mukin remained silent. This was a heavy and heart-wrenching story, so he didn't want to ask in detail. He also knew that if he couldn't stop himself from falling off the cliff in time, the more painful it would be in the future. Compared to Wei Yunshu, he probably had no chance of winning. This was because Wei Yunshu and Pudding grew up together. They were true childhood sweethearts. Furthermore, they were well-matched in terms of social status. The Wei family, the Qin family, the Shun family, and the Tang family were still the most powerful and oldest families in the city. He was just a small celebrity, a small fish that went with the flow. His fate was in the hands of the bosses, so how could he talk about love? Loving someone might not be that heavy for him, but loving Pudding was too heavy. Master, thank you for your words. I understand. After chatting with Master Wu for a while, Liao Mukin seemed to be enlightened. He stood up with a smile and hid the ring he had bought in his suit pocket. He didn't take it out to fiddle with it. Watching the young man leave, Master Wu sighed softly. If he's still here, he should have white hair by now. Back Garden Pudding and Wei Yunshu sat side by side at the edge of the corridor. When did you come back? Why didn't I know anything about it? After calming down, they chatted like two good friends. I've been back for 2 days. Then why didn't you call me? Pudding was angry. It's a surprise. Wei Yunshu lowered his head and smiled faintly. Pudding suddenly thought of something and asked, Did Tian come back with you? I bumped into her at dinner a few days ago. Wei Yunshu shook his head. She didn't come back with me. She's been back for a long time. She's been fooling around outside without telling my aunt. Pudding nodded. She believed Wei Yunshu. You and Tianin, you and Liao Mukin. The two of them asked the same question almost at the same time. Chapter 49:13. You go first. Pudding was embarrassed that she made a fool of herself. No, ladies first. Wei Yunshu never talked before Pudding. It had been like this all these years. It was as if they had gone back to their childhood. Pudding was very emotional. She said slowly, In the 5 years you were abroad, did you and Tian develop? Wei Yunshu chuckled. What are you laughing at? Pudding pouted, looking domineering and bashful like a little girl. You know me best. You know I won't have anything to do with Tian, but you still asked. I really think you're trying to prank me. I didn't. Although I know you, I still want to hear it from you. Pudding's domineering manner was just like Qin Shu's. She was like a female version of Qin Shu. No, even though she went abroad with me and went to the same school, we didn't have much to do with each other. In the past 5 years, I wasn't interested in all the ugly things she did overseas. After all, she was never someone I cared about. Pudding, when we were 5 years old, we already knew what kind of person Tian was. Over the years, all the elders knew that she couldn't fool anyone other than my auntie and uncle. Pudding nodded. Wei Yunshu was right. Everyone knew what kind of person Tian was, except for Wei Ying and Shun Mingxi. Even if they knew, they still felt guilty because of Hua Yinyan's death years ago. Then I'm done. Hearing Wei Yunshu deny it, Pudding felt very happy. Then you and Liao Mukin. Wei Yunshu didn't finish, but his meaning was obvious. Pudding smiled slightly. I'll use your words. You don't know me, so why do you think I'm interested in an artist under my company who I've known for less than 2 years? Because I heard he looks like the person in your heart. Wei Yinshu knew that after he said this, Pudding would turn on him immediately. After all, he couldn't tell her the person in his heart. But if he didn't bring it up, it would be a hurdle that he couldn't get over in the future. So, sooner or later, he had to bring it up. Even if Pudding told him now that she was still the person in love, he wouldn't regret it. As a person, one should live with clarity and not be muddle-headed for the rest of one's life. As expected, Pudding's expression changed drastically. Pudding, 5 years ago, we were still young. There were a lot of things we didn't talk about. I also felt like I died for no reason. A few months ago, I went to Germany and found Yao. I also told him that I couldn't forget you. I couldn't forget every moment of our lives growing up. So this time, even if I die, let me know, okay? About the person in your heart. Can you tell me your story? Pudding had planned to explain everything to Wei Yinshu, but he didn't expect the two of them to meet so soon. So when Wei Yinshu asked this question, she didn't know where to start. Yinshu, I did have such a person in my heart, but he is no longer in this world. I know. Wei Yinshu also guessed that that person was no longer in this world. Otherwise, why would Pudding have other emotions when she saw Yao Mukin, who looked similar? So, since he's no longer in this world, are you still interested in knowing the story between me and him? Pudding tilted her head, her eyes a little red. Chapter 49:14. Wei Yunshu's heart ached, but he also knew that if he didn't ask now, he might not have a chance in the future. I want to know. I want to know everything about you and him. Okay, if that's the case, I'll tell you. Perhaps today was a very important day for Pudding, so she made an exception and took the initiative to tell Wei Yinshu the story of her and Su Yu. South Hill Manor, near the Rainbow Fountain. Qin Yao found it too noisy inside, so he ran out after eating a few mouthfuls. Then he leaned against a Greek relief with his headphones on, enjoying the wind and listening to music. All of a sudden, a ball of paper was thrown at him and hit his handsome face directly. He opened his eyes with a gloomy expression. Then, he saw a 13 or 14-year-old girl running over. She was wearing a purple gown and had curly hair. She was very cute. Ha! I'm sorry, I really hit you. I didn't expect to hit you from such a distance. The girl had a mischievous look on her face. Then, she picked up the ball of paper from the ground and threw it into the trash can. So, shouldn't you apologize first if you hit someone? Qin Yao looked the girl up and down unkindly. You don't have to apologize when the time comes. Anyway, even if I apologize, you won't really forgive me. After all, you've already cursed me 1,000 times in your heart. Qin Yao really didn't know what to say. This damn girl didn't play by the rules. While he was stunned, the girl walked up to him. She smiled mysteriously. You're the young master of the Qin family, right? You know me? Qin Yao was surprised. No, I guessed. You look so much like your father. Uncle Qin is the most handsome man I've ever seen. You're so good-looking, too. You must be the young master of the Qin family who's studying abroad. I think it's a pity that you're not a detective. Qin Yao teased. I want to be a detective, but the country is peaceful now. It's not the time for us detectives to show off our skills. If I really open a private detective agency, I'm afraid I'll receive orders from rich wives to track down mistresses. That's so low. It's not my style. After the girl finished speaking, Qin Yao was amused. She didn't look very old, but she didn't think that it was quite interesting. What are you laughing at? I'm serious. Then what kind of detective do you want to be? Like Conan? Qin Yao continued to tease her. No. Detective Conan is an anime. In the real world, how can there be so many dead people and murderers? It's all a lie to children. I just feel that if I can join the criminal investigation unit in the future, I can help the police solve some terrible murder cases. It's best if it's a crime with a high IQ. You're thinking too much. But if you have this idea, you can go and meet Gao Buiyuan. He's from a police academy, Qin Yao said. Gao Buiyuan? Is he the son of that provincial leader? Yes, that's him. I don't dare to go. He's getting engaged today, and his girlfriend is too scary. She's a tigress. Oh no, I'm sorry, I can't say that directly. After all, she's your sister, right? It's okay. You can say that about her. I don't mind. Haha, you don't have a good relationship with your second sister? The little girl covered her mouth and chuckled. No, we have a good relationship. Then why did you— This is how our family gets along. Qin Yuyao said. Wow, you're so interesting. I like you. Do you mind if I become your wife in the future? The little girl was very straightforward. She came up and asked directly. Chapter 49:15. Scared, Qin Yuyao took several steps back, afraid that she would rush up to him. Very much. Why? My family is rich too. My dad and your dad are best business partners. The little girl pouted. You're too ugly. Qin Yuyao didn't give her any face. Damn it. How dare you say I'm ugly? I'm a famous beauty. My fans on Weibo all say I look like Zhang Zi. Forget it. Zhang Fei looks similar. Huh? Haven't you talked to a girl like that? You're so ungentlemanly. You've wasted your time abroad. I don't need gentlemanly with you. You're not my friend. Wait for me. I'm going to tell your dad right now. Whatever. See you later. Perhaps only Qin Guoguo would do something like this to have such an unpleasant conversation on their first meeting. Fortunately, the little girl was strong-willed and didn't cry. Otherwise, Qin Chu would have had to teach his son a lesson. On the other side of the table, Gao Buin and Little Bean sat side by side in a lovey-dovey manner. Xiao Tianxuan and Xiao Yuanyuan were so upset that they left before they finished their meal. Little Bean, eat more. Look at how skinny you are. Gao Buin put a piece of braised pork in Little Bean's bowl. Buin, don't you feel guilty for saying that? She's skinny. Tang Tianjiao couldn't hold it in anymore. Tang Tianjiao, shut up. I'll beat you up. Little Bean raised her arm. Fine, fine, fine. You two can keep showing off your love. I can't stand it anymore. Then Tang Tianjiao left the table. Where's my sister? She's not back yet. Little Bean suddenly remembered that her sister wasn't back for dinner. So she called out, Qin Guoguo. Speak. Qin Guoguo happened to come back and heard her call. Where's sis? She's chatting with my friend. Didn't you say 1 minute? Little Bean was puzzled. Maybe she's chatting with my friend and they have similar interests. Bullshit. I don't believe you. Tell me, where did you take our sister? Little Bean obviously didn't believe Qin Guoguo. She was really chatting with his friend. No, I have to go see her. Don't. If you go, you'll disturb her. Just sit there and eat. Fat pig. Who are you calling a pig? Little Bean glared at him. I'm talking about myself. That's more like it. Little Bean tilted her head and turned around to continue eating the braised pork with Buiyuan. She didn't want to look for her sister anymore. At this moment, Pudding had already told Wei Yinshu everything that had happened. This story had to start from when Suyu chased after Huamin and ended when Suyu left this world. After hearing this, Wei Yinshu was completely shocked. He couldn't believe it, but he knew better than anyone that Pudding never lied. So, Pudding, the man in your heart all these years, is actually our Uncle Suyu? Pudding nodded slowly. For the first time, he realized that he was able to share the secret in his heart with someone. It was as if a huge rock had been lifted from his heart. Oh my God, so the elders don't know about this? Except for you and Little Bean? Fifth Grandpa knows, Pudding added. So Buiyuan and Yao don't know that I'm the fourth person to know the secret? Wei Yinshu looked incredulous. Pudding nodded again. Chapter 49:16. Wei Yinshu was so excited that he didn't know what to say. He couldn't help but grab Pudding's hand, and his voice trembled. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Why didn't you tell me earlier? Yes, if Pudding had told Wei Yinshu everything 5 years ago, they might not have been separated for 5 years. God knew how hard he had been for the past 5 years. It was fine when he was busy, and there was almost no room for anything else in his mind. But at night, when it was quiet, all kinds of things with Pudding would immediately appear in his mind. Therefore, Wei Yinshu had been through a lot for the past 5 years, but he had never told anyone about it. After all, he was a man, and he wouldn't cry and complain. In Wei Yinshu's opinion, if the person in Pudding's heart was Uncle Suyu, then it wasn't worth the Cold War. Because although everyone's memories were gone, Uncle Su Yu was such a great person. In order to save the woman he liked, in order to save his friend, she was willing to stay in the nightmare, alone and without anyone to depend on, and in order to give his grandson a chance to live and not be in a vegetative state forever. Grandpa Su made an even greater decision. Who in the Su family would be jealous of their love life? Not to mention Pudding. After Wei Yinshu heard this, he suddenly felt that a person like Uncle Su Yu should be remembered forever. He thought about how he and his father were best friends, but now, because he didn't want his father to suffer, he erased his memory. At that moment, Wei Yinshu realized how insignificant he was. He was still calculative about the emotional entanglements between men and women, but Uncle Su Yu was willing to sacrifice everything for the woman he loved. Yinshu, Pudding still wanted to explain. You don't have to say anything, Pudding. No matter what kind of feelings you have for Uncle Su Yu, whether it's because you rely on your elders, or because you can't let go of him after he left, or whether you really like him, I don't mind. A person like Uncle Su Yu deserves to be remembered in our hearts forever. To be honest, Pudding didn't expect Wei Yinshu to be such an open-minded person. Before she could explain anything, he had already given her the answer. It was obvious that Wei Yinshu didn't mind Pudding having Su Yu in her heart. Because that person was Su Yu, he had no objections at all. Wei Yinshu took Pudding's hands and placed them on his chest. He said slowly, Pudding, from now on, not only will Uncle Su Yu be in your heart, but I will also remember him forever with you. I will remember everything he did for all of us. Pudding's eyes reddened. At that moment, she felt like the world had brightened up. If she had told Wei Yinshu about this matter back then, perhaps there wouldn't have been a separation and 5 years of conflict. Pudding suddenly felt that she was so stupid and looked down on Yinshu. Yinshu, I'm sorry. Thank you. Pudding's voice was also choked with sobs. The two of them looked at each other. Even if there were thousands of words to say, it could not compare to the deep feelings in their eyes at this moment. Cut. All right, the two actors, please take a break. Qin Guogua appeared at the crucial moment. And it wasn't just him. Behind him stood Little Bean, Gao Lin, Tang Tianjiao, Qiao Tuanchuan, Qiao Yuan, Qin Shu, Huamin, Wei Liao, Jiang Xiaowei, and all the other elders. Everyone came and stood behind Qin Guogua. The two of them turned their heads to look and were extremely embarrassed. Are you guys going to kiss at this distance? Or are you guys going to fight? Little Bean suddenly thought of something and asked. Chapter 49:17. Little Bean, don't talk nonsense. Pudding blushed and quickly shook off Wei Yinshu's hand. Yinshu, why didn't you tell me that you were back? Are we good friends? Gao Yuan was furious. Wei Yinshu slowly stood up. I just wanted to give you all a surprise. No, you just wanted to give my sister a surprise. Little Bean exposed him. Ahem. Wei Yinshu coughed lightly. So, you got your wife back? Gao Yuan asked with a smile. Wei Yinshu ignored his teasing and greeted the elders one by one. Uncle Qin, Annie Mian, Uncle Gao, Annie Ling. Yinshu, it's good that you're back. I was thinking this morning that everyone is here except for you. Qin Shu liked Wei Yinshu very much. He had liked him since he was young and felt that this kid was like him in many ways. He also knew how Pudding felt about him. Wei Yinshu's return made everyone very happy. Everyone returned to the banquet. Wei Yinshu didn't mention anything about Su Yu. He planned to keep Pudding's secret for the rest of her life. Pudding cried for a long time, and her eyes were a little red and swollen. She ran into the washroom upstairs to wash her face. When she went downstairs, she saw Liao Mukin standing downstairs. There was no one in the hall downstairs at this moment. Why are you here? Pudding was a little surprised. Boss, you look so beautiful in traditional Chinese clothing today. I can guarantee that if you enter the entertainment industry and act in movies, you won't be a slut anymore. Liao Mukin smiled, but Pudding vaguely felt that he was a little different than usual. As for what was different, she couldn't tell. Thank you. Pudding lowered her head and smiled at Liao Mukin's praise. Boss, I kind of want to fall in love. This sentence surprised Pudding. Then, she became even more silent. She was really afraid that Liao Mukin would confess to her. After all, rejection was very hurtful. Liao Mukin, Boss, what do you think of the girl from Jia film, Liang Huan? When he asked this question, Pudding was really stunned. Liang Huan is pretty good. She's good at acting and usually keeps a low profile. Yeah, I think she's pretty good too, so I want to be a contract couple with her. Contract couple. Pudding was surprised. Having a contract couple in the entertainment industry wasn't really a big deal. It was just two celebrities with similar popularity forming a CP and selling their personas to attract more fans. At the same time, they could also participate in a few marriage-related reality shows. Occasionally, they could show off their love and make a lot of money. Then, when the contract expired, they would announce a peaceful breakup. Many celebrities did this, but there were also many young actresses who wanted to be a couple with Liao Mukin. This time, he took the initiative to mention it, which really made Pudding a little confused. It's like this. Liang Huan's manager talked to my manager. Liang Huan himself also sent me a WeChat message. Why her? Pudding asked. Because she's obedient, honest, and low-key, which suits my style. Okay, as long as you're willing. Pudding didn't have any objections to being a couple as long as the couple agreed. So, boss, I'm no longer single. Are you going to give me a gift or something? Gift? No problem. I'll give you more resources, Pudding said. Not enough. Then you can take a team overseas next month. I'll give you a vacation. At the same time, I'll pay for the expenses of the trip. Pudding was very generous. Not enough either. Then what do you want? Pudding rolled her eyes. Chapter 49:18. Pudding really couldn't figure out what Liao Mukin was thinking. He was such a weird person. His mood was unpredictable, and she couldn't tell what he was going to do next. While Pudding was in a daze, Liao Mukin had already run up the stairs. He gently kissed Pudding's freshly washed face. Yes, it was just a gentle kiss, but it was this kiss that satisfied Liao Mukin's long-cherished heart. He also wanted to put a perfect end to the story of his crush. From now on, Pudding would only be his boss, not his lover. That Taoist priest was right. In life, one should be content with what one has. Why should one bring trouble to oneself and always ask for things that one cannot get? So, Liao Mukin gave up, especially when he heard that Wei Yunshu was at the scene and even met with Pudding. He knew that he had no chance of winning. So, he wanted to take the opportunity to say goodbye to Pudding. With Pudding's temper, being kissed and taken advantage of course, she was furious. Just as she raised her hand and was about to slap Liao Mukin, she saw tears at the corner of his eyes. At that moment, she froze. She couldn't bring herself to slap him. Boss, from now on, you will always be my boss. After Liao Mukin finished speaking, he licked his dry lips and turned around to leave in loneliness. Looking at his figure, Pudding actually felt a little sad. Then, she slowly put down her hand. She also understood the meaning behind Liao Mukin's last sentence. Yes, she was his boss, and she would always be his boss. It was best not to repeat what happened to Suyu. After all, she couldn't bear to see another Suyu appear. So, it wasn't a bad thing for Liao Mukin to stop at the last moment and form a couple with Liang Huan. Pudding froze upstairs for a while before she walked out and continued to have fun with everyone. Liao Mukin had already left South Hill Manor. He thought that he would never come to this place again. In the future, he would be a celebrity, make money, get married, and have children just like everyone else. Sometimes, being ordinary was bliss. At night, all the other guests left, leaving only this group of close friends. Because of the professor's identity, he secretly left the city that night. Qin Shu ordered people to hold a bonfire party and roast a whole lamb at the top of the mountain. A large group of people drank, chatted, and ate mutton without restraint. The children were also carefree. Wei Yunshu and Pudding, Gao Yuan and Little Bean, and Tang Tianjiao surrounded Xiao Tuanchuan. The only ones left were Qiao Yuanyuan and Qin Guogua, who didn't have a CP. They were forced to play second fiddle. One was in charge of roasting the lamb. The other was in charge of mixing the wine. Everyone looked up at the starry sky and felt that life was so satisfying. Taking advantage of the good atmosphere, someone suggested, Pudding, sing a song for everyone. Why me? Pudding was confused. Because you're the one who gained the most today, Tang Chuan teased with a smile. I think it should be Yin Chu. Pudding had learned to be naughty. Yes, yes, yes. Both of you are. Then let's sing together. With Tang Chuan's coaxing, everyone applauded. Little Bean was even more mischievous. She directly said, Sis, why don't you two sing the hottest ethnic song? Do we need to do a square dance? Gao interrupted. You two go to hell. Hearing Little Bean's words, Pudding was furious. She picked up a rock in front of her and threw it at Little Bean. She always had bad ideas. Forget about the hottest ethnic song. It's not suitable for this occasion. I'll sing a song for everyone. Pudding was in a good mood. She slowly stood up and cleared her throat. Wei Yanchu seemed to know what she was going to sing. He took out his phone and said, I'll play the accompaniment for you. Chapter 49:19. Pudding's melodious voice spread from the top of the mountain. The flaw of falling in love with an angel in a devil's language. God is in the clouds, only blinking. In the end, he frowned and nodded. Falling in love with a serious pastime in the time it takes for a flower to bloom. You're beside me, only meeting face to face. On a sunny day in May, lightning flashes. In this lifetime, we meet on a narrow path. We can't be spared. Tangled curves suddenly grew in the palm of his hand. Before he became sensible, after he fell in love, he couldn't last a day. Can't hold, can't calculate fleeting years. In the second verse, it was almost a chorus. The song Pudding chose was old enough. It was a song by the queen of the Chinese music industry, Fei Wong, many years ago. It was called Fleeting Years. Fei Wong had so many songs, but Pudding loved this song the most. Why? Because there was a saying, in this lifetime, we meet on a narrow path. Therefore, she believed that her reunion with Wei Yunchu 5 years later was also fate, and it was also in this lifetime. This song seemed to resonate with everyone. Huamin passed out in Qin Chu's arms. Although it was out of tune, it still sang happily. This was destined to be a grand party. Perhaps many years later, everyone would remember that night many years ago. At the top of South Hill Manor, a group of people looked at the starry sky and talked about the future. They enjoyed the peace and gentleness of time. Everyone was satisfied. This was the best ending. That night, Pudding, who had not dreamed for a long time, had a dream. She dreamed that she walked to a mountain full of blooming gardenia. There, she saw a scene. Sui was wearing a white Versace short-sleeved shirt and casual pants. He was smiling brightly in the gardenia bush. Beside him was his mother, Huamin, and a little girl she didn't know. Sui kept calling her name, silently. Pudding had always heard from Fifth Grandpa that handsome Sue didn't die. He just went to a world that was very similar to this world. There, handsome Sue had everything and was with the woman he loved the most. At first, she thought that Fifth Grandpa had made up a lie to comfort her. Until that night, she had this strange dream. When she saw the happy smile on Sue Yu's face, she realized that he was indeed living a happy life. Then, the decision he made many years ago was right. Just as she was about to wake up, Pudding vaguely saw Sue Yu turn around. He smiled so gently at her. At that moment, her heart melted. Handsome Sue, you have to be happy forever. No matter if we'll meet again or not. You have to be happy forever. We'll never forget you. We'll always remember you. When Pudding woke up from her dream, she touched her chest and burst into tears. Epilogue. In each of our lives, there will always be some people who pass by us. We don't have time to meet them. We don't have time to get to know each other. We don't have time to fall in love. And we still have to say goodbye in the end. Even so, the process is beautiful. Many years later, no matter what the ending is, the memories can always make one's clothes wet. Falling in love is the most romantic thing in the world, and loving someone deeply is also a happy but unspeakable thing. We often want to think about the past, not because the past was too beautiful, but because we miss the people who made the past beautiful. The ending of the whole story and the ending of the side story. Thank you all. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe, to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.